You know that feeling, right? You've poured your absolute heart and soul into a beautiful vegetable garden only to wake up one morning and find your prized tomatoes completely devoured. I mean, it is just heartbreaking. But what if I told you that you don't need to douse your yard in harsh, smelly chemicals to fix it? Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to learn how to turn your garden into a self-defending fortress, all by unlocking the hidden power of plants. So what if your garden could actually fight back? Here is a wild fact to kick things off. A lot of insects actually taste with their feet. Literally, before they even take a single bite, they land on a leaf to see if it's their preferred dinner. And the cool thing is, we can use botanical science to completely disrupt their next meal. We can literally confuse their senses so much that they just fly right past your vegetables. And the proof is right there in the numbers. A fascinating study by the University of Florida found that when vegetables were planted in plain, bare soil, insect infestation sat at a staggering 36%. But when those exact same crops were surrounded by companion plants, the infestation rate plummeted to just 7%. I mean, that is a massive, game-changing drop, and it's 100% natural. So why exactly does this happen? Well, if you plant a single long row of cabbage, which we call a monoculture, it's essentially a flashing neon buffet sign for hungry caterpillars. It's just a straight, easy runway. But a polyculture, that's when you mix different flowers, herbs, and vegetables together. It creates this incredibly confusing, diverse labyrinth. So when bugs land and taste with their feet, they keep hitting the wrong plants, get totally frustrated, and just move on. Let's move into Section 1, the science of plant defense, or as I like to call it, chemical warfare in the backyard. This whole invisible defense system relies heavily on volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. Think of these as powerful aromatic scents. When you plant a fragrant herb like basil right next to your tomatoes, that basil releases VOCs that act as a literal olfactory smokescreen. It entirely masks the smell of the tomatoes, meaning pests like thrips and mosquitoes can't even spot them on their radar. And below ground, the battle is just as fierce. This involves a mechanism called allopathy, which is just a fancy way of saying a plant releases biochemicals straight out of its roots. Take marigolds, for example. They exude a chemical called thiopene right into the dirt. It creates this invisible shield that actually kills off destructive, root-eating nematodes. You are literally sanitizing your soil using flowers. All right, on to Section 2, top pest-repelling plants. It is time to meet your garden's new bodyguards. These are your primary heavy hitters. You'll definitely want to keep this information handy because it tells you exactly who to recruit to fight off specific invaders. We've got marigolds handling the soil and keeping aphids away. We have basil masking your crops from mosquitoes and flies. And then there's lavender. Its calming floral scent, which we love, actually disrupts the nervous systems of moths and fleas. How cool is that? You also absolutely have to consider the mighty chrysanthemum. This flower is a total powerhouse because it naturally produces a compound called pyrethrum. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because pyrethrum is the exact active ingredient used in tons of store-bought biological bug sprays. You're growing the pesticide right there in the dirt. Plus, throwing in plants like borage will repel tomato hornworms while calling in the bees to pollinate the rest of your garden. Now, your garden defense can actually be delicious too. Strong-smelling culinary staples like garlic and rosemary, they're not just for cooking. Their intense pungency drives away carrot rust flies, beetles, and aphids. They serve as frontline defenders for your more fragile vegetables, giving you an awesome double win for both your kitchen and your crop yield. Which brings us to Section 3, the trap crop strategy. Basically, the art of the decoy. Now, this strategy totally shatters a huge gardening myth. A lot of people think nasturtiums repel bugs. Actually, scratch that. They don't at all. They're essentially sacrificial lambs. They function as a trap crop, specifically meant to lure aphids and squash bugs away from your prized cabbage and cucumbers. You're intentionally giving the bugs a free meal in one spot so they completely ignore your actual harvest in another. But, and this is a big but, to use this decoy successfully, you can't just toss a seed in the ground and hope for the best. You really need to follow 3 exact steps. First, plant them 2 to 3 weeks early so they're broadcasting their chemical signals before the pests even show up. Second, do not fertilize them. Nasturtiums in rich soil just grow leaves. In poor soil, they grow the flowers you need for the trap. And third, make sure you plant a full perimeter to create a true, solid barrier. Let's shift gears to Section 4, common mistakes to avoid. We definitely want to prevent any friendly fire in the garden. Because, even with the very best intentions, you can accidentally sabotage your own defense system. A huge mistake is ignoring plant compatibility. You simply cannot put moisture-loving basil right next to dry soil-loving lavender. Even if they both fight off bugs, putting them in the exact same watering zone is just going to stress them both out, making them weak and totally ineffective. And listen up for this one. Our biggest warning label absolutely goes to mint. Yes, it is incredible at repelling ants and spiders, but it is the garden equivalent of a house gust who simply refuses to leave. It spreads so aggressively via underground stems. If you plant it directly in your garden bed, it will conquer your entire yard. Always, always keep your mint in a container. Finally, Section 5, Growing a Healthy Garden. It's all about building a resilient ecosystem over the long haul. When you really think about it, what you're doing with all of this is just replicating nature's ancient wisdom. Indigenous cultures understood this intimately. Take the traditional Three Sisters method. Corn provides a sturdy stalk for the beans to climb, the beans fix nitrogen in the soil to feed the corn, and the massive prickly leaves of the squash cover the ground to stop weeds and deter pests like raccoons. It is a brilliant plant community that entirely supports itself. To truly master this in your own backyard, I highly recommend digging into some local resources. Your local university agricultural extensions and master gardener programs are absolute gold mines. Since pests and soil types change so much depending on where you live, these local experts can tell you exactly which companion plants will thrive in your specific zip code. Now, a quick but vital professional reminder, nature is a wild, unpredictable, and dynamic system. There are no magic wands in gardening. Your results are going to vary based on your local climate, your weather patterns, and your specific soil conditions. So always treat companion planting as just one part of a broader, healthy garden strategy, and definitely consult those local experts before you overhaul your entire yard. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Your garden isn't just a collection of vegetables. It is a living, breathing ecosystem. Armed with this incredible botanical armory, which plant bodyguards are you going to recruit first? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and happy bug-free planting.